Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the traffic avenue.
Oh, flex. Buckle up and join the best. Let's Citi, relieve your stress. So yes, let the music soothe your soul and keep it going just to refresh. Buckle and enjoy the ride from 2 to the half of the 5. Mondays to Fridays happening live. When we gon' have a ball, you can text your guys. Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. Are you ready for the traffic avenue? Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. An applause for the traffic avenue.
Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue. Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, Traffic Avenue, oh yeah. Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue.
Oh, flex. Buckle up and join the best. Let's Citi, relieve your stress. So yes, let the music soothe your soul and keep it going just to refresh. Buckle and enjoy the ride from 2 to the half of the 5. Mondays to Fridays happening live. When we gon' have a ball, you can text your guys. Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. Are you ready for the traffic avenue? Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. An applause for the traffic avenue.
Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue. Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, Traffic Avenue.
Detailed news, unparalleled coverage. City News on 97.3 FM.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
City News.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to Eyewitness News, coming to you live from our studios here at number 11. Dr. Martin Lupin Adabraka in Accra. My name is Selorm Adonoo. Tonight I'm here with
Neti Ajaho.
Coming up over the next 90 minutes. Farmer has dragged the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Babin, and the Attorney General, Godfred Dami, to court over the anti-LGBTQ bill, and we will be telling you what his demands or reliefs he's seeking from the courts are. Also, the World Health Organization says COVID-19 no longer represents a global health emergency. Tonight, we look at the implications on funding and the distribution of vaccines. Also, on Eyewitness News tonight, 2 buildings have collapsed in the Adenta municipality in the space of 1 week, leading to death of 2 people. We will be in that community to bring you more. Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM, and later on in business.
The Bank of Ghana pushes for unified data systems to monitor progress of financial inclusion efforts.
There's more in business in the next 50 minutes. Your comments are welcome via our WhatsApp line, 0549986996. You can follow me on Twitter at Selorm Adonoo. The hashtag, as always, is Citi Newsroom. Now, let's go to our first story. COVID-19 no longer represents a global health emergency, and this is coming from the World Health Organization. It says a major step towards the end of the pandemic that has killed over 6.9 million people, disrupted the global economy, and ravaged communities. The WHO's emergency committee met yesterday on this matter and recommended the UN agency declare an end to the public health emergency of international concern, which has been in place for over 3 years. The WHO's emergency committee first declared the COVID-19 represented its highest level of alert more than 3 years ago. The status helps focus international attention on health threats as well as bolstering collaboration on vaccines and treatment. My colleague Sami Afe joins us with some more details. Sami, what do we know?
Okay, so this meeting was held yesterday, as you said, and then the WHO made some few recommendations, and I'll go through some details of it. They call it the temporary recommendations issued by the WHO Director General to all state parties. All state parties meaning all states or countries which are parties to the WHO regulation. Now it says sustain the national capacity gains and prepare for future events to avoid occurrence of a cycle of panic and neglect. State parties should consider how to improve country readiness for future outbreaks. In alignment with WHO guidelines, state parties should update respiratory pathogen pandemic preparedness plans incorporating learning from national and sub-national African reviews or action reviews. Now, state parties should continue to restore health programs adversely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. The second point says integrate COVID-19 vaccination into life course vaccination programs. It says state parties should maintain efforts to increase COVID-19 vaccination coverage for all people in high places and especially groups that are less in there when it comes to COVID-19. It says WHO recommend vaccine and continue to actively address vaccine acceptance and demand issues with communities. The next point, it says, bring together information from diverse respiratory pathogen surveillance data source to allow for a comprehensive situational awareness. It says state parties should maintain reporting of mortality and mobility data as well as variant surveillance information to WHO. Surveillance should incorporate information from an appropriate mix of representation, population, event-based surveillance, human wastewater surveillance, as well as zero surveillance and surveillance of selected animal population. The fourth point, it says, prepare for medical countermeasures to be authorized within national regulatory framework to secure long-term availability and supply. It says state parties should strengthen their regulatory authorities to support long-term authorization of use of vaccines, diagnostics, and the rest. It says continue to work with communities and their leaders to achieve strong, resilient, and inclusive risk communication and community engagement and infodemic management programs. State parties should adopt RCCE and information management strategies and interventions to local content. And it says continue to lift COVID-19 international travel-related health measures based on risk assessment and based on risk assessment and not to require any proof of vaccination against COVID-19 as a prerequisite for international travel. You remember recently the US announced that from I think May 30th, they are not going to put in restrictions as to international travel to the United States. So it's part of efforts to
ease that difficulty.
Definitely, Selorm. And the final point, it says, continue to support research to improve vaccine that reduces transmission and have broad acceptability to understand a full spectrum incident and impact of post-COVID-19 conditions and evaluation of SARS-CoV-2 in corporation and institutions and to develop relevant integrated care pathways. So these are the recommendations after yesterday's meeting, which was chaired by the Director General of the WHO himself.
I see. Thanks so much, Sami Yafi. So that's the news for today. The WHO no longer represents the global health COVID-19 as a global health emergency. Does it mean that COVID-19 is no longer with us? No. It means that COVID-19 is with us. They've actually said that it's actually in the population, it's with us, but it's no more an emergency. Maybe because we have now understood the disease a lot more than we did when it came a couple of years ago, 3 years ago. So, I mean, that certainly has implications for vaccine distribution, funding of health systems across the world, etc. But we'll get back to this and do some interviews and analysis on what implications it has for Ghana and third world countries and even other parts of the world. When COVID-19 struck, we saw a lot of global restrictions. There were lockdowns, a lot of things. Before you traveled, you had to show what they call a COVID-19 passport, show a certificate that you've been vaccinated, etc. What happens to all of that? Are we going to continue doing that? Must we show a negative result before we are allowed to enter a particular country? We'll discuss all of that, pretty soon. Trying to work around the phone lines to get some interviews for you. In the meantime, a lot of your messages have been coming through. Kennedy Onipaye there says COVID-19 is over a long time, and I thank God that WHO recognized this. Well, not. It thanks God that how do you call it? That WHO has recognized this. Let's go to the phone lines and speak to the presidential advisor on health, Dr. Insia Sari. Is one of the key persons that did a lot of work in the COVID-19 in the heady days of the COVID-19 pandemic, and now that it appears things are easing up according to the WHO, it's important to go back to him and see what he makes of all of this. Good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News.
Good evening.
Yes, very well. It's something a lot of people have suspected or seen, that indeed the COVID-19 pandemic, I mean, the way we looked at it and how, how the difficulty it presented to the economy and the health system generally, had eased. And for that, many people had said that the disease was no more. I don't think that really is the position. But now the WHO, which is the World Health Body, has come out to say that it no longer represents COVID-19 as a global health emergency. How does this hit you?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think we all read it this morning that there was a meeting yesterday of a committee of the International Health Regulations. International Health Regulations was institutionalized by the WHO in 2005. So they normally have an emergency committee which meets, and this was the 15th meeting, which was held yesterday virtually. And they have given some recommendations to the Director General to have a look at. And the Director General understand accepted those recommendations. And it was due to the trend in the COVID-19 recently, before we realized that there's decreasing trend in COVID-19 deaths. There's also decrease in COVID-19 related hospitalization, and more importantly, intensive care unit admission. And there's also high level population immunity, mainly due to other people who have been infected already by SARS-CoV-2 and also vaccination or both. So the committee's position has been evolving over the last few months. And they came out that they are aware and then also acknowledge that there's remaining uncertainties by potential conclusion and evolution of the COVID-19. Especially there are new emergence of new strains and also new variants, which they are all aware of. But we believe that it's now time.
Yes. Yes, I think I'm losing you. I'm losing you.
Manage it like any other disease. So this is exactly what the committee did yesterday and presented their report. And the WHO Director General has also accepted the report. But the Director General also announced the publication of the 2023-2025 COVID-19 Strategic Preparedness and Response Plan, which is mainly looking at a plan by countries to look at the transition of COVID-19 as a pandemic into a long-term management plan. And that we should also, countries should look at collaborative surveillance, community protection, safe and scalable care, access to countermeasures, and also emergency coordination. So this is exactly what yesterday was done, and it's an advice to countries that we should go and transition by using the 2023-2025 COVID-19 strategy preparedness plan and response. And all what is saying that not that COVID-19 is completely gone, but COVID-19 is changing as a pandemic of public health of international importance into something which has maybe come to stay, and we should be able to manage ourselves as a country from time to time.
I see. So that does this WHO position reflect the situation in Ghana, given your unique position?
Yes, it reflects what we are seeing in Ghana. In fact, global. If you look at the figure that we are seeing on daily basis, on weekly basis, there is a continuous decline. We have a very few cases. Some days we have only about 1 case or 0 cases. And we've been looking at this, but not that people are not getting COVID. But in this country, and also all over the world, that people understand what COVID is. People know what to do when there's COVID. Almost every health worker, from the chief center to the teaching hospital, knows that if somebody has COVID, these are the signs and symptoms, and this is what the management is supposed to be done. And we're also aware that people have been having infections, they know where to go and what to do and what to take. And more importantly, for some months now, we haven't seen any COVID-19 related deaths. We haven't seen our intensive care units being overfilled with patients. We haven't seen people coming for hospitalization. We know that there are some few symptoms where they do OPD attendance for those who are having signs and symptoms have been tested to be positive. So it is becoming like a routine type of illness like illness flu that we manage in this country. And that if you look at all these things, the fact that we are not seeing so many deaths, and the fact that our hospitals are not overwhelmed, but our concerns are that we shall have to continuously be doing repeated publication of the deaths and also hospitalization so that we don't lose sight of whatever is happening. It should become part and parcel of our reporting system, both to the policymakers and also to WHO. And there's also some concerns about our surveillance. And then the WHO has realized that there's also some decline in the people reporting weekly. And Ghana too, we have to also be sure that all the regions and the districts report weekly or daily to the Ghana Health Service system so that we know whatever is going on. We all agree that there's also fatigue in the system. I mean, people, especially our health workers, are developing some fatigue, and we have to also make sure that we don't lose sight of whatever is happening. So far, I believe that the same thing which is happening globally is also happening in Ghana, and I'm sure to also our neighbors around us.
I see. So what are the implications then? I mean, we know that there were world efforts to get vaccines to other parts of the country. There were funding opportunities for health systems across the country, etc. Does it mean that by this recommendation or declaration by the WHO, I think recommendation is a proper term to use in this case, by the WHO, a lot of these funding sources and assistance given to countries, third world countries especially, will dry up, or these assistance and donations will continue to come?
No, I think yesterday it was also made clear the temporary recommendation which was issued by the WHO Director General, but all these support and assistance will continue. For example, COVAX will continue to support throughout the year vaccines which are coming into the system. And countries should also set up the assistance in place so that we don't lose sight of whatever is happening. So the assistance will still continue while we wait for another committee to meet to come out with the actual recommendations from the health committee. So there's a temporary recommendation by the committee, and there's a need for further review by the IHR review committee so that they can advise properly for what is going to happen, the standing recommendations for a long-term management of SARS-CoV-2. So it's going to continue at least for this year. That is what the statement which came from the WHO says. It's not going to stop.
I see. So what talking about our own local situation, what can you tell us about the vaccine uptake now? Are people still taking the vaccines? Are the vaccines available for people to take? What happens if we run out of this consignment? Will government still go and procure more because COVID-19 has come to stay? Or government will say, okay, once this consignment is done or is finished, that will be the end because it is no more a health emergency?
Yes. In fact, one of the recommendations is that the vaccination should also be made as part of our routine vaccination that we have in the country. So the vaccination, the drive for vaccination is still there. The number of people who are assessing themselves for vaccination have gone down considerably because a lot of people who need to be vaccinated have been vaccinated. But we have also been doing regular vaccination drives throughout the country to make sure that people take the vaccination. But as I said, the good thing is happening is that there's a high population level immunity from the infection and with the vaccination. So the two of them have come together to help us to also develop an evidence of risk to human health and it also be a bit low. And the global risk assessment remains high anyway. But because of the high immune population level immunity and also the vaccination. So the vaccination will continue. Government has already, and as aware, have committed itself to some number of vaccines that has to come into this country. We don't bring all the vaccines at once into the country so that some of them get expired and they will throw them away. So from time to time, we will be getting vaccines as we need, and then it will not be a problem for the country.
I see. So what will be your word to the public? Hearing this, many people will say, okay, it's over. We can drop our guard, do what we want, live life as we lived before. Will you say that life really can go back to normal? I mean, normal days before or the times before COVID?
Yeah, that's what we are trying to do, so that we make sure that life goes back to normal, like when there was no COVID. So what is going to happen is that we will sustain the national capacity gains that we have already received for future events. And COVID-19 has also assisted us so that we know how to fight any emergent pandemic in the country, which, you are aware that we have a scare of Lassa fever, Marburg fever, that we are able to quickly work on it and make sure that we contain it as quickly as possible. We also will try to, as I said, to integrate COVID-19 vaccination into the life course vaccination program so that there will be no vaccines around for us to give vaccines to anybody who needs to be vaccinated. And then we will bring together information from all diverse respiratory pathogens through our surveillance data system to allow us for comprehensive situation analysis awareness, and then continuously also be educating the population, and then do stereo surveillance of selected animal populations, and then also continuously be doing surveillance because already, if you look at Ghana, we have places about 12 or so places where we do surveillance for respiratory illness like flu and other pathogens. So we continue that. And then we prepare ourselves for any medical countermeasures to be authorized within our national regulatory framework so that we ensure long-term availability of supplies when we need it. And more importantly, we have to continue to work with the communities and their leaders. So even though maybe it may not be public health emergency of international concern, but we will not lose sight of it and make sure that the system that is in place at Ghana Health Service continues. And then we continue to, what we have to look at, which we are going to look at very quickly, is to look at the remaining COVID-19 international travel measures that we put in place. I remember that at first our ports of entry, both the airports were all closed. We opened the airports, we started testing at our especially Kotaka International Airport, and then for all passengers who were coming, then we started restricting it to those who are not vaccinated, and we have to have a second look at it. What do we do? Is it only for we have to maybe lift everything and let everybody come into the country? So the technical team needs to look at it, and then I know that when the technical team looks at it, we will also try to advise our principals, and then most likely all these restrictions that have been put in place will also be revised and released so that people can travel in the country. But more importantly, we have to also continue to support research and make sure that we reduce transmission, improve vaccines, reduce transmission, and have broad applicability to understand the full spectrum incidents and also the impact of the COVID-19 coordination, the condition in the country. So we are not going to stop dealing with COVID-19, but we are going to put all these measures in place and wait for the WHO to officially declare that the pandemic is over. What they are doing is just telling us that we should transition from the pandemic stage into long-term treatment. And I'm sure after the emergency committee list, they will come out again, tell us exactly as they announced on the 11th of March 2020 that there's a pandemic of international concern. The same Director General will come and then tell us that they announced the whole world that maybe the pandemic is over, and then we move from there. But we will not lose our guide.
All right. Thank you so much. But before you go, a viewer, a listener who texts in and wants to find out what the COVID-19 situation is in Ghana as of today. Is it something you have figures of hand?
Yes, I can give you the latest that I have. And let's check. The latest COVID-19 that has been published by Ghana Health Service website is okay. We have an update as at the latest update is on what I see is April. I think we have okay. As of the 2nd of May, we have the latest for 30th of April, and on the 30th of April, what we have is that we still have unfortunately lost 1,462 people with COVID-19. Tested over 2.5 million of the population, and 171,682 were positive for COVID-19.
But I've recovered.
Discharge or recovery rate of about 170,192. We have no severe, no critical cases, and the active cases, which means that people that we have to worry about to manage and also make sure they don't infect anybody, of 26. So, and then if you look at it daily, the daily increase in the COVID-19 case from between 29th to 30th of April 2023, we didn't test any positive case throughout the country. And if you look at the active cases region by region, we have, as at 30th of April, we have 5 in Afo. There was no active case in Ashanti. There were 6 cases in Boro, 1 case in Boro East, no case in Central region, 5 cases in Eastern region. Greater Accra has 3 cases. North East has no case, Northern region no case, Otchere has no case, Savannah no case, Upper East no case, Upper West no case, Water no case, and then we have 2 cases in Western region and then 2 cases in Western North. And 2 of our international travelers also tested positive. So total, there are 26 cases who have COVID-19 as active cases that we have to be worried about. And this trend has continued for almost since the beginning of this year, even part of, I think, since about November last year to date. Sometimes we don't have any single case for about a day or 2, and the active cases have been below 100. So that shows exactly what is happening globally, which WHO is talking about. And we are not having any surge, and we've been doing genomic sequencing for especially all the travelers and positive cases who come. And I'm also happy to say that we have not seen any new variant which is emerging in some other countries. So we continue to be on the lookout, continue the surveillance, we continue to do our genomic sequencing, we continue to do our routine surveillance at areas where we have put surveillance. And then we will work together with Noguchi and KCCR and other testing sites and other research centers And Ghana Health Service is very aware of whatever is going on around it in country and also in the sub-regions and globally. And if there's anything, we will let the population know.
I see. So the summary is that we have 26 active cases in the last couple of days. 36, yeah. 36. 26, yes, 26 active cases. And, a lot of the regions have 0 cases and all of that. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Insia Sari, Presidential Advisor on Health, was very key in the COVID-19 times, and indeed, he remains the Presidential Advisor for on health. Kwesi Reynolds in Agona Dobin says the world will never forget this global pandemic, which almost ravaged the world's economy and brought death into homes. We thank God it has been fought and defeated. Abi National Wa says government should remove the COVID-19 levy from our light bills. Well, Daniel Atia and Dasuma says, good evening, Selorm. COVID-19 no more a pandemic. Well, Ghanaians noticed this from day one. That's why a lot of Ghanaians refused to take the injections, you say. Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We'll take a short break, return, and give you more news. Don't go away.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You know your papa see that? And it's Ricky car. Hey, papa!
Bobo, so how's your engine now?
It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Quartz and you can feel better energy. Can't touch this. Actually, guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that. Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz, and he switched. Sancho Panzapa. Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies DA improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry. Chema. Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer. The other day, I visited Kweku at his spunky new office to congratulate him on opening his business. And man, was I impressed. The business is just moving quick. The sales, customers, everything is just working seamlessly. The secret? He said,
it's MTN Business Broadband. In this fast-paced environment, we need fast and reliable internet to support all business types. No laggy online meetings, great download and upload speeds, impeccable business management systems, all inclusive. I mean, you can have it all.
Sharp! I signed on immediately.
To enable your business stay ahead and stay connected, make sure you're signed on to the best internet made just for businesses. MTN Business Broadband. Sign up today on broadband.mtn.com.gh and manage your account on my MTN app. Call 0244 308 111 for more information. We are good together everywhere you go.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Let's move on to our next story. And former chairman of the defunct Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, says he stands by all the details of the report he presented to the Chief of Staff about the work from the committee. Professor Frimpong Boateng says all persons and institutions cited in his report are involved in Galamsey. Speaking to Accra-based television station UTV for the first time after his controversial report, Professor Frimpong Boateng said everything he said in the report is the truth.
Report Akosua Abano transitional Abraham for Bam just say and this MP Abano second one Abana. Yeah. Chief of Staff said report. Now
this report was presented years ago to the Chief of Staff when government was transiting. I needed to be honest to the president and say it as it is. I needed to let them know what was happening as far as the fight against Galamsey was concerned, and I needed to be truthful. So I wrote what I wrote. As to how it was leaked, I have no idea.
No, but I have to be brutally honest with the president. Tim Tray, Nam de Quay. And one set a babontin after 2 years, no, Minu may my car be behind. And until I'm some making because be the say no crown. The idea my tray with your man paying for. Listen, we can't watch it. Now,
I wrote a lot of reports during my time as chairman of the committee and made several presentations to the cabinet and the Council of State. I needed to be honest and truthful. I did my part. I played my role.
Your presentation, and you were here now. And see, the American, and yet, Sabi, and Contumpan, I say, Bibi. Nemo says, Sana, Nipa Fano said, yeah, and you're fine. 70 minutes of your game. But the American said, I had to be honest with the president and the man. Now, I had no say, you check your one. Return me a question. Yes, I do.
Professor Frimpong Boateng also denied reports that his son is heavily involved in Galamsey, but failed to mention him in his report.
He's not involved. Until Nameka saying, we said, you're there for Shrag 2019. For almost 4 years, we have been investigated. And the Shrag report number said, Galamsey, Galamsey. And that's why I couldn't talk, because if I have been investigated, you have to keep quiet and wait for the end of the.
My son has never been involved in Galamsey. This matter was investigated by Shraj, and my son was cleared. He worked with one of these mining companies during his national service days. So when he left, he called his friends from Canada and British Guyana to come over to work with him.
So he wanted to do a proper mining. Acho. And such times some company be a friend symphony. And we are till 1990. The year business importing something. And
I used to have a company called Symphony. He wrote to the Minerals Commission and the Registrar General to add mining to this company. He was given a license to operate. He operated legally with no distraction to the environment.
Baby. Okay. I say 5 and what TV and you know, so you might do or they 3 my hair. Okay, 2. 2 no 1 year to a friend enough for if we Canada, British Guyana, America for you. I said, let's set an example and do this properly. And to me, we are reconnaissance. That's the first stage.
Okay.
To me, report no call Minerals Commission. Yes, with my prospecting.
The technology he used ensured that the environment was not destroyed. In the process, there was some misunderstanding in the town, so he left. He wrote to the Minerals Commission that he has stopped operation.
In the process of doing that, and now Akasakasaba area, Japan,
oh, okay.
So they say a curfew into a truck man in Minerals Commission said, I dare my way now, but because of this war.
That was the former chairman of defunct Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng. Over 500 soldiers are expected to be deployed to Boku in the Upper East region by the end of this week to help deal with rising insecurity in the region. The decision to deploy armed men was taken after a delegation comprising National Security Coordinator Edward Asumani, Major General Thomas Opong-Pepra, Chief of the Army Staff, and other heads of state security and intelligence agencies paid a visit to the area. The municipal chief executive for Boku, Amadou Hamza, tells Citi News the mandate of the task force will also help deal with the influx of Burkinabes entering the country as a result of the insurgency.
I think the government of the day, His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana, has also instructed the Ghana Armed Forces to beef up security. We have always and all the time mentioned the fact that we don't have enough men on the ground. And so through the national security, in collaboration with us, the Defense Ministry and even the Interior Ministry, some soldiers have been taxed to come to Boko. And so some special force are here with us and they are coming in batches. The first batch has landed and I can talk about 50 troops have landed so far. I'm yet to take statistics of those who came yesterday. In fact, 2 days ago that they came. Yesterday they came. I'm yet to get to know because I was also assigned to do other things Today, some would also land. We are expecting about 500 soldiers to touch Boko, hopefully by the end of this week.
So what exactly will be their duty or their mission there?
Basically to do two things. Some will be taking care of the main conflict in Boko. And you know Boko is sharing border with Togo and Burkina Faso. And so because of the activities of the Burkinabe insurgents, it's another source of worry to us because I'm handling that one also. Recently, just last week, the insurgents came very closer. The community in Boko known as Gentiga, Bado, and Gumakotari, and so mainly dominated by the Busanga people known as Bisa. And so we are handling that also. And so we need more of the troops here to take care of the main conflict in Baku and also that particular issue. And so they have been tasked to come and handle some of these issues.
Isn't that going to create some sort of tension, looking at the numbers?
What tension? We need more. If we can even get 5,000 soldiers in Baku, we need it. Because I'm telling you, Baku is such a very vast area.
How long are these soldiers going to be there?
I cannot tell. It depends on how government wants them. But my understanding is that they are likely to be with us here for some time.
What is the current situation in Boko?
Boko is calm as I talk to you. There hasn't been any incidents as far as my office here is concerned. Everybody is going about doing his businesses or her businesses.
Ahmadu Hamza is the municipal chief executive for Boko.
Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Your comments are welcome via our WhatsApp line 0549-986-996. You can tweet at me also at Selorm. Adonoo. Some of your comments that have been coming through include this one, which is asking that the COVID-19 levy be scrapped because the WHO has recommended that COVID-19 is no more a global health emergency. Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Now we go to the Adenta municipality where 2 buildings have collapsed in 1 week. Natalie.
One person has died after being trapped in the rubble following the collapse of a 3-story building at Nana Krom in the Adenta municipality in Accra. This incident comes barely a week after a similar occurrence at Medina. The recent collapse is reported to have occurred yesterday, leaving one person with injuries. The municipal chief executive for the area, Alexander Nino Edumwa, tells Citi News the injured person has been sent to the hospital for treatment.
Yesterday we got information whilst I was at another meeting that a building had collapsed around here at Maijo. My information is that at about 1:30 in the afternoon of yesterday, that is when it occurred. And I got here around about 4-ish. The assembly member, the National Disaster Management team from the region, the headquarters, as well as from the district level, were already here on the ground. The fire service was also here, and an attempt had been made because they got an excavator to come and attempt to rescue, because we got information that there were 2 people on the building and one had escaped with some injuries, and he had been sent to the hospital. So we had to search for the other person. We were here. It was only this morning that we managed to sight the body, so it's been retrieved and sent to the police hospital. That is the situation that we have. But there have been quite a number of people. So as at about 5-6 o'clock, we realized that the equipment that we had was not enough to do the thing. So I made calls to the military. We got 48 regiments. We got the National Dog Academy to bring us sniffer dogs. And then they came with the military police and a whole team with their own equipment. And they came to join forces. And they've worked throughout the night, excavating the portions over there. This morning at about 8:40 thereabouts, the body was sighted. So we stopped all machine work and the machine excavation, and then we went to manual, and people used the shovels and the pickups to recoup the body. And we've handed it over to the police As at now, they're on their way to the police hospital. The police are in charge.
You heard the municipal chief executive for the area, Alexander Nino Idumwa.
Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Let's go to the phone lines and speak to Ludwig Hesse, who is an engineer. Indeed, is Engineer Ludwig Hesse, the president-elect of the Ghana Institutions of Engineers. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News. Congratulations on your election. But, it appears that there's something happening around the Adenta area. I don't know what it is. And, of course, two buildings collapsing, it's not enough to say or to draw a trend. But it's obviously cause for some concern that in a space of about 1 week, 2-story buildings under construction have collapsed in the same municipality. Is this something we are not doing right in that area? Will you know, sir?
Well, I wouldn't know specifically. And yes, it is. It should be of concern. But actually, a small correction. The first one was in the Medina municipality, La Matana, and this one is in Adenta municipality. So 2 different assemblies, but in the same general area, and it should be a call for concern.
I see. So what do you know about the collapse of these 2 buildings? We understand the first one, it was being built at a very fast pace, and lay people say that perhaps they did not allow enough time for the concrete after the casting to dry well before they continued building. But that's what lay people have said. You being a technical person or a professional, what has been your assessment of that situation?
Well, we don't know. On the first one that occurred on Monday, we went to the site on Tuesday, and they've cleared the site, so there was no evidence for us to make any deductions at all. Understanding also is that the person was building without a permit, and it's not clear whether they have designed properly, constructed properly. We cannot tell as we sit now. There was no information there to even make a first call judgment on anything at all.
But what's your contribution really? The contribution of your institution, for example, in terms of people building without permits? Of course, that's a legal matter. But what can your institution do to ensure that the assemblies, are up and doing? Is there a way you contribute to their work? Of course, some of them may have engineers in the land and special use departments and all of that, but that doesn't appear to be enough. The issue about permits is been permeating a lot of the difficulties we've seen like this. For example, people think that the permit assessing process is so tedious, and so they will rather go ahead and build without permit, and this is the consequences we'll be seeing. Is there any way that the institution contributes to the work of the land and special use unit of the assembly?
Well, first of all, the Engineering Council Act of the country requires that all people who are working as engineers or engineering practitioners should be adequately, properly registered. The assemblies are supposed to do so. The private sector people who are constructing and designing should also do so. So first of all, that's what you expect. Also, secondly, you expect that every company that is constructing should also be adequately qualified to do so. Number 3, you expect that anybody who is going to construct a building should go through due process. The due process is expected to ensure that things like this don't happen. And if it's slow, it's slow. But people have to go through it. But if people ignore going through the process and then they don't employ the right persons and the right companies to do the work for them, and then we're going to have problems like this. The assemblies have the primary responsibility to enforce these rules, and they should be seen to be doing it. We, as Institution of Engineering, had told the assemblies that if they want support, if they don't have the full requisite personnel to do the work for them, they can consult us, and then there are people in the private sector who can help to review applications for permit and all those things to ensure that the proper thing is being done. and even to supervise the construction if they think that they don't have the right personnel or adequate personnel to do that. When private people are constructing, they should be ready to pay for what it takes to be able to construct buildings that will stand. We don't want people to put up buildings that will kill people. And that is a cause for concern. Meanwhile, there are enough engineers and architects in this country to ensure that a good job is done. Sometimes the private sector guys are also not ready to pay for value. They think this is simple. We get a mason and a mason can help us to do the work. So these are the issues that is in our psyche. And when things like this happen, I think proper investigation should be carried out, and those who are found culpable should be brought to book to send a big message to everybody that we cannot sit and do things that kill people. Some of these things are clear murder, especially if you go and find out that people have not followed due process.
I see. I also know that every assembly must have engineers, or at least an engineer, because of the nature of the work that assemblies do. Can you confirm whether this really is the case, in all the district assemblies or assemblies we have across the country?
I can't confirm, but I know that local government service employs engineers for the assemblies. What at not at Lankwatana assembly yesterday after we went to the site, but we're not able to meet with the city engineer. We cannot tell that whether he's a qualified engineering practitioner or not. But there was one person in the office there who claims that is registered. We have the engineering council, I understand, has written to the municipality to give them the list of all the people that are practicing there to see if they are duly registered for practice. That's one of the things that we initiated yesterday after we visited the first site. Today, I know that the municipal engineer for Adenta has been having discussion with the executive director of our institution, and he is requesting that we should support them to investigate this particular case. And it's something that will oblige and help do the investigations. And if people have to brought to book, then the necessary authorities then will have to deal with that.
All right. Thank you so much. We're grateful for your time, Engineer Ludwig Hesse, President-elect of the Ghana Institution of Engineering. Thank you so much for speaking to us on this matter. Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Now, a private citizen or a citizen of Ghana and a farmer has sued the Speaker of Parliament and the Attorney General over the processes that are leading to the debate and the passage or subsequent passage of the so-called anti-gay bill. That farmer is raising a number of issues in the writ he has filed at the High Court. Of course, we understand them. I mean, the matter, the processes have been initiated in court now. So we just share a few paragraphs of his statement of claim with you. Paragraph 9, for example, says that the plaintiff avers that in the said the plaintiff avers. So let me take it from paragraph 7. The plaintiff avers that by a letter dated 19th October 2022, the second defendant provided his response to the committee. That is, the Attorney General was asked by the chairman of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs of Parliament to provide government's position on the promotion of proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values bill 2021, which is a private member bill currently before the committee. So the Attorney General provided that position by government in a letter dated 19th of October 2022. The plaintiff also says that by that letter, the Attorney General detailed government's official position, including the need to protect human rights and adhere to statutory requirements for laying a private member's bill in Parliament, emphasis on statutory requirements. Now, the plaintiff is saying that by the Attorney General's letter, which stated that it's, quote, it's observed that the bill is not accompanied by a fiscal impact analysis required by Section 100 of Act 921. The stipulation in Section 921, in Section 101 of Act 921 is rendered more imperative by the character of the bill as a private member's bill. It goes ahead to say that the plaintiff states that the provisions of Section 101 of the Public Financial Management Act 2016 requires that the bill shall be accompanied by a fiscal impact analysis when the bill was first laid in Parliament. And it says that this was not complied with, and this has still not been complied with. It goes ahead to say that, you know, this non-compliance with the statutory requirements relating to the laying of the bill and the complete disregard of the Speaker's of the Attorney General's advice indicates an intention by the Speaker not to comply with the express provisions of Act 921 and by extension the laws of Ghana. It also states further that Article 100 of the 1992 Constitution gives authority and powers to the first defendant, who is the Speaker, as a person presiding over Parliament, to manage and direct the affairs of Parliament. It goes on and on to say that now the reliefs is seeking from the court include the fact that there should be a declaration, or the court should make a declaration that the first defendant, who is the Speaker, has a non-discretionary obligation to ensure that all statutory requirements relating to the presentation and or consideration of the promotion of proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bill 2021 placed before Parliament, including the requirement of the bill to be accompanied by a fiscal impact analysis when it was first laid before the House, are complied with. 2, a declaration that the failure of the first defendant, who is the Speaker, to perform the non-discretionary obligation, and the failure of the second defendant, the AG, to insist and ensure that the requirement that the bill be accompanied by a fiscal impact analysis when it was first laid before Parliament was complied with, has rendered all processes in respect of the bill to date invalid and void by reason of illegality. Number 3, an order restraining the first defendant, who is the Speaker, his deputies, agents, assigns, and privies from proceeding with any processes related to the bill until the statutory provisions of Section 101 of the Public Financial Management Act 2016, Act 921, are complied with. 4, an order directing the first defendant, his deputies, agents, assigns, and privies to ensure compliance with Section 101 of the Public Financial Management Act 2016 before any further steps are taken in respect of the bill. And 5, a perpetual injunction restraining the defendants, that is the Speaker and the AG, from further breaches of the Public Financial Management Act. And 6, any further orders or other reliefs as the court may deem fit. So these are the reliefs that the farmer or the gentleman who filed the writ has been seeking from the House. His point really is that the processes that Parliament is engaging currently have been in breach of Section 101 of the Act 921, which, amongst other things, states that before a bill is presented to Parliament, there should be a fiscal analysis on the bill to say or to tell how the bill will affect the finances of the state, etc. But that was missing in this particular one. Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We'll take a short break, return, and do business. But on point blank, we have the former member of Parliament for Adenta, the Honorable Yabobi Asamoah, who is a key member of the Alan Chermantin campaign team, joining us tonight on Point Blank. You don't want to miss that. We'll be back.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Eid Mubarak, breaking the fast. So take what you need fast from Toshiba and Media and Toshiba Eid Mubarak promotion.
Assalamu alaikum, assalam.
599 Ghana cedis is for Toshiba standing fan forever. 849 Ghana cedis at Toshiba microwave. Get a Media tabletop fridge, 1,999. It is necessary. At Toshiba Fridge, this Eid Mubarak will take care of your friends and family and cool everybody down.
Media chest freezer, top low 4-burner gas stove, grill, and solo microwave. Your top class Toshiba and Media showing love this Eid Mubarak. Call 0242 439 437.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Time now for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News, powered by citibusinessnews.com. Let's settle for details now. The Bank of Ghana is advocating the need for stakeholders within the financial space to improve the quality and availability of data to support financial inclusion efforts. The central bank posits that data plays a pivotal role in monitoring progress in financial inclusion. Speaking at the launch of the 2021 Ghana Findex data by the World Bank and the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, Elsie Aduawaji, noted that there is the need to work towards a unified data architecture to promote data integrity, data privacy, systems robustness, and effective data governance. She also noted that it is crucial to ensure that the data collected is reliable and can be used to formulate policies and regulations that are in line with the needs of all economic actors in the country. The 2021 Ghana Findex data was on the theme, Monitoring for Inclusion, the role of an inclusive financial sector data architecture. The Securities and Exchange Commission has reiterated its commitment to address the concerns of customers whose funds have been locked up in various financial institutions. This comes on the back of calls of customers of collapsed financial institution under the name Black Shield Capital Limited for their monies to be paid. The aggrieved customers on Thursday picketed at the premises of SEC in a bid to demand payment of their locked-up funds. In an interview with Citi Business News, Director of Communications at the SEC, Dr. Godwin Ansam, explained that most of the processes are in the hands of the court, and it can only take action when the court makes a pronouncement on them.
As indicated, the object of the SEC was very much changed on the protection of investors and integrity of the market. We take the issue very seriously. We have heard allegations that the SEC appears to be delaying the process. And our response is that once we emphasize the process, it's important to note that the SEC has fully supported the process, has fully complied with the process, which is currently in court. And in the court process, this is the official liquidator. We have provided relevant documentation when needed to lawyers of the opposing side. We have provided all the information. We've been called upon to do so. We have been very much, involved in the process, but as indicated, everything is by the official liquidator under the current law. And within the court process, the SEC does not have any influence to fast track the court process. But we are doing all that has to be done to facilitate the process.
Dr. Godwin Ansah is the Director of Communications at the Securities and Exchange Commission. And finally, government is courting the support of the United Nations in building a resilient green economy. It maintains that the African continent must continue to seek alternative sources of maximizing its natural resources to boost productivity. Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Mohammed Amin Adam, made these comments when the UN Resident Coordinator called on him in Accra.
As part of our efforts to free up fiscal resources and improve resilience without worsening the economic challenges or sacrificing spending on the development priorities, government is looking for alternative sources of resources that will not negatively affect our fiscal position. Green and sustainable financing is one of the options we are looking to. We wish to call on the UN system to leverage its global compact on sustainable financing to support the country's effort of tapping into climate financing options, such as private sector investment, carbon finance, promoting renewable energy, debt swaps for development, amongst others. But we are not sleeping over this. The Honorable Minister Ken Oforiatta and his colleagues in Africa have been calling for a new global financial architecture that addresses the development financing gap facing our countries, but also that addresses climate vulnerability in order for us to get sustainable financing to support our development.
Mohammed Amin Adam is the Minister of State at the Finance Ministry. And that's it for Citi Business News and Eyewitness News. It was powered by your most comprehensive business news website, citibusinessnews.com. My name is Neteli Neti Ajaho. Up next is Point Blank.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Insightful, intriguing, intelligent, and informative. The Citi Breakfast Show offers an attractive alternative to the noisy mishmash of morning radio. Tune in to the Citi Breakfast Show for passionate discussions on issues that matter and enjoy interviews where duty bearers and decision makers have their feet held to the fire. The Citi Breakfast Show airs from 6:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. every Monday to Friday on 97.3 Citi FM.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
This is a point blank segment of Eyewitness News. And tonight on Eyewitness News, we do some MPP politics. Dr. Bawumia declared, at least to the majority caucus in Parliament, that he was going to contest the flag bearership of the party. But before that, Alan Tremantin had resigned from government to focus on his campaign. Former Agric Minister Dr. Akosua also resigned for the same purpose. But others have been on the ground. Kennedy Ejepon, Kwabna Ejepon, Joe Gate, Boachi Ejakun, the Honorable Adainimo. They've all been crisscrossing the country, trying to cut delegates, sell their messages to them. The delegates are kings and queens. There was an initial discussion or debate about early Congress or late Congress. It appears that have been settled now. Dates have been announced. My guest tonight is the Honorable Yaboaben Asamoah, spokesperson for Alan Tremantin and Director of Communications for the Alan campaign team. Good evening. You're welcome to the program, Yao.
Thank you very much.
It's been a while. I mean, you're Director of Communications of the MPP. We used to speak to us every day, media. All of a sudden, you went into hibernation. We saw you now as the spokesperson and Director of Comms for Alan.
Yes.
How's the job going?
It's not so much
of a job as a passion for change, a passion for a reality check on what we are doing.
A passion for change. Change means what?
Change means
you want to change the MPP and bring the NDC because Nanado is not running again.
We want to, yes, that change, that Nanado is not running again.
Yeah, so whatever you do, that change will occur.
Will come. But that change must come with a certain substance, a certain gravitas.
Which means what?
Which means that now politics has changed in this country. People are more engaged. People are more aggressive about their personal needs. Even if they are in your party, even when they are supposed to support you, sometimes they want to project themselves over and above what ideologically you would expect that they will remain, that they would, you would think that they would stay in stereotype boxes. But now they are coming out, they are more aggressive. Why? We've had a series of elections, and that has changed the way we perceive politics, the benefits of politics, and what we should get out of it when we participate as individuals. So now you want somebody sensitive to this, who can change how we operate politically and have impact on the outcomes to individuals. You understand? So somebody who can transform the society, bottom line. We need transformation. And I think that Alan is that person, from his track record, from everything he has done, from his persona, his personality, and from his vision. What he says, what he does, you can see that he has that essence of transformation in him. Transformation is different from change.
So how do you mean by transformation, really? I mean, he's been in government. He was in Kufuor's government. He was Minister for Trade and Industry and the PSIs at some point. And in this administration, for 6 years, he's been Trade Minister. What transformation did they bring to the governance of this country, at least as a minister?
Okay, so we can have the kind of change that keeps us paddling. After a few years, we are stable, then we go back to the IMF. That's change. We can have change where the president's term ends and he moves on. But now we want transformation. So you're asking me, transformation is where the things you do impact positively and move us to another level where we don't look back. And that level expands the space for other people. So, for example, private sector. Alan will transform this country's economy with more focus on the private sector. It is the private sector that will create the spaces for the 500,000 people that we are going to be producing the products of free SHS as the next year rolls in.
But Alan has been in trade at the trade ministry for quite a long time.
Yes.
And if he has anything to do, we should have seen a lot of that affecting general government.
We have, except that statistically, we are poor at determining what we are doing.
How?
Yes. Can you imagine how much impact garments that Alan brought to us 22 years ago has changed the economy, the informal and formal economy of Ghana? You can't. You are assuming that I'm wearing a cloth shirt. But 22 years ago, when we started the PSIs, was it 22 years ago or 16 years ago? PSIs in 203,
yes,
204. How many years?
So
mathematics
20 years now.
About 20 years ago.
20 years now.
It was fun to be seen wearing a cloth shirt. Your friends will make fun of you. Ambule, was it Ambule or Papa Yankee who sang Ajwa Yankee?
Yeah, I think Papa Yankee.
It was fun. We used to laugh at, you're wearing an Ajwa Yankee. And then Alan said, we can diversify. We are a HIPIC. We are not getting enough investment. We can diversify into garments, into oil, palm oil, into salt, into cassava. But I'm focusing on garments. Then what has happened? Today, virtually everybody, 3/4 of the people you meet in the streets are wearing cloth shirts or otherwise. So if you have a 30 million population, and 20% of them, 30 million, 20% out of 30 million will be how much? Assuming even 500,000 people are wearing
cloth products every day in this country, to work, to formal occasions, to informal occasions. Then what started 20 years ago as a funny venture, we were laughing at each other, and Alan brought in, would be raking in terms of the informal economy, between 1 billion to 2 billion cedis.
So the beneficiaries of this will be the tailors and seamstresses?
The beneficiary is a whole value chain. The beneficiaries are the manufacturers of cloth.
But the manufacturers, I mean, a lot of these come from China these days.
That's what I'm saying. It's a long chain. So it also means that you have to look at gaining a benefit. It's always a value chain. So you have manufacturers. Question, are they positioning well enough to gain the full benefit? Then 2, you have the imports, where you are saying it comes from China. Why? Because they've set up and they are competitive.
But the transformation really we want is that we don't want to import from China things we do for ourselves like clothes.
But that is
so
what he's
Alan,
trying to
as
do.
trade minister,
But that is what
I
he's
thought
trying to do.
should have raised the manufacturing sector, because that was his job, so that we'll become competitive and not be importing cheap fabrics from China.
It's a process. You develop production, you develop consumption. And I'm telling you now that even from where he was, if we hadn't moved a step at all, we would not be talking about 2 billion. Now we are talking about a value chain which includes manufacturers, albeit weak here, imports, and the importers are Ghanaians. Market queens, traders, they are Ghanaians, so they are making more value because people are consuming more, so they will be importing more, which is not good enough. We should be transitioning that to what? To manufacturing, which I agree with, but it's there. Then you are now talking about the tailoring, the design part of it, which is employing hundreds of thousands of people. Sophisticated now, infrastructure. For telling you have story buildings with people, mannequins, and all that. When we used to go to tailoring shops in small holes, and you have exports. It has raised the profile of kente and all those other traditional things. So you have exports abroad. You have now a thriving trade where tourists come in, and the first thing they want is to wear a cloth shirt. That economy was generated by Alan. That is the kind of economy we are talking about. It has put people to work informally, tailors, marketers, importers, manufacturers, that whole value chain. If we had good statistics, I'm telling you, we would demonstrate that it's a certain percentage of our GDP that wasn't there before Alan took over.
Yes, but he's been trade minister, and the one district, one factory policy of government, a lot of people have attributed that to him. I don't know how far. Did he bet that idea?
Yes.
He bet that
he
idea.
He birthed it. Just like so many other things he's birthed.
But that policy is not doing well. Is it doing well?
I mean, it's not doing well.
How many factories have we had? And what is the impact of that policy on the economy? I mean, we are still import driven.
Since 2017, that is 300 factories we didn't have. As at 2017.
But what was the impact? I mean, you can pump in a lot of money.
It is
but what's really the impact? Because we're still suffering. Import-led and depreciation of the cedi and all the things that affect import-driven economies. We are facing them now, and even worse.
Transformation is not an event. It's a process. The difference we will have is that when Alan himself is in charge, he will bring a strong focus on these things. That is why we have the 10-point strategic plan.
Is that different from the Great Transformation Plan? That's a 10-point strategic plan.
Yes,
I see.
The Great Transformation Plan has 10 points that will be focused on.
I see. I'll come to that.
Let's deal with that. Because as we are talking now,
yes.
Look at the transformational aspects.
So a strong macroeconomic environment, infrastructure development, decarbonization and climate resilience, strategic engagement with the international community, energy security and diversification, a new agricultural revolution, digital mainstreaming, national security and defense optimization, industrial transformation, downsizing government. These are big words. Macroeconomic environment, infrastructure development, decarbonization.
So go to the back.
Vehicle assembly and component manufacturing, garments and textiles, vegetable oils and fats, integrated bauxite and aluminium, pharmaceuticals, iron and steel, industrial chemicals, machinery and equipment manufacture, industrial starch, petrochemicals,
These are the things that you focus on.
But Alan has been trade minister.
Yeah, but he didn't have the authority.
No. So are you telling me that if Alan walked to the president's office and told the president, this is what I think we can do, the same way he said he bet the one district, one factory idea and the garment idea and all of that.
He did, we accepted to do.
And
if you come,
yes,
let me tell you the things he's done.
Okay.
He had 1D, 1F in the can, rural enterprises, before we lost power. When he came and 1D, 1F came up, he moved all of them up. The president accepted. Question, implementation, you say they haven't done so well. And now I'm saying that when he has the vision and he has the focus and he's investing in the vision and bringing on board the private sector effectively the way he wants it done, you will see a difference. But even then, it is 300 factories more than we had in 2017. Can we acknowledge that?
The 300 factories, I mean, some are just extensions of other factories.
But it is, if it was a factory that wasn't doing well, and it's now been extended and is doing well, like the Ako Farms, if it wasn't doing well.
There was one on the Dodowa Road at the former Yoma. No, you know the place, former the Yoma building.
But that was not a 1D, 1F.
But no, it had a logo there. No. But the place is grown grass and all of that.
That's
is it Casa de Ropa?
No, Rockshell. Casa de Ropa is in. It's not in Accra. They had a sales point there, but they are not in Accra. They are in the central region. Okay, so these companies are here, and they are working to the extent that you support them to work and you create more.
Digital mainstreaming. Dr. Baumia is I mean, one of his opponents in the race. Is being called a digitization.
I thought you would go to vehicle assembly, because recently the president commissioned vehicle assembly.
We know about vehicle assembly.
Why do you know about it? Wasn't there before?
No, digital mainstream.
Digital mainstream is a facilitator.
Yes, what again does he want to do about digitization? Because we see Bamia moving around doing a lot of that. Yes,
we'll continue to digitize. We'll continue to modernize. We'll continue to expand access to digital services, removing human hands from what we do. It will help to reduce corruption. It will make things faster, and to bring a lot of transactions into public view because of the way those transactions will go. So you can manage things better. But you are talking about creating jobs, and then use digitization to facilitate those jobs. And I'm telling you that a big thing that has happened is also vehicle assembly. It wasn't there before. At all. You're asking me the things Alan did as trade minister. And I'm telling you,
this was Alan's idea.
Completely Alan's idea. From the beginning to the end.
I see.
From the beginning to the end. Alan within 3 years has brought Ghana 6 manufacturing companies, vehicle manufacturing.
But how many vehicles do they manufacture? How well are we doing there? I mean, what was the purpose of the program?
Look at the Kia one.
Yes, but are they affordable?
How do you want to end before you started running?
Are they affordable? Are we able to afford them? That's the issue.
You start an industry. That's the first thing. First of all, to even be able to attract those marquees, there are 6 major vehicle manufacturing companies in the world. To attract 5 of them into Ghana, with the West African country and Africa as the market, potential market, that alone to begin with is big. That alone to begin with is huge. Now they are going to establish component manufacturing, and it links to bauxite, because most of the companies are aluminium. So now we refine bauxite here. Again, private sector. We focus on refining bauxite, and it's part of the 10 pillars. And you merge it with component manufacture. You are talking what? Employment. You are talking incomes. You are talking foreign exchange. Those are the things that open up economies and stabilize them. Those are the things Alan has. Then he's gone even further. The African
after
the Continental Free Trade Area. I'm telling you, are you aware Alan conceived that idea and birthed it when he was given the responsibility to do so from 2012, and it has now matured, and most of Africa believes that that's the way forward. Intra-African trade.
I see.
So not only
I see, but you guys say a drew. So like you guys say a drew. So for Alan,
do you admit that he has transformed the business environment in the sense that he has managed to bring these initiatives?
No, we need to
online.
see fruits, of course.
Of course.
No, we need to see fruits. We need to see the impact of those policies.
You will.
The impacts have not been seen yet.
It is because I'm not statistically sound.
So I'm here to see the impact.
Let me tell you an impact. Let me tell you an impact.
Once I see the impact,
let me tell you an impact. Let me tell you an impact.
We don't have a lot of time.
Let me tell you an impact quickly.
You guys say a drew. So
let me tell you an impact before we go to drews.
Is it no way? I'll come to that. A drew. So what do you intend to say? Is it a cue or what is it? I thought it was about somebody who had the best idea. A drew means what? That's entitlement.
The impact of Alan in trade and industry in Ghana is a situation where we find ourselves, where our formal economy has literally come to a halt.
That's why he said
the international economy, right? That is why government is grappling with the IMF to establish a program. And yet, something is happening in the country. Things are still going on. People are trading. It's almost as if it's normal. There's back and forth. There's continuing employment. There's continuing incomes. So there's an economy that has been built on the private sector, a resilient economy that has. The thing we need to do is bring it home through data, which we don't have. So that is what we must strengthen. When we strengthen the statistical part of our economy, we will realize the impact of the things that Alan has done already, and those things that he will invest more in,
but
focus more attention on,
so that we will grow. Your pocket.
It will come.
It will come. That's in the future.
But let me give you two examples. Enable Ghana, enable youth, Ghana, and 1D 1F. 1D 1F has produced nearly 200,000 sustainable jobs. Compared to NAPCO, government.
So NAPCO wasn't Alan's idea.
It's not. No,
it wasn't Alan's idea.
Sustainable.
That's why it wasn't sustainable.
No, I'm saying that he produces sustainable jobs based.
So those
on
who produce, who produced NAPCO? Who produced NAPCO?
So
I'm asking you, who produced NAPCO?
Don't you know?
I don't know. Tell
government.
But Alan was part of government, so which government?
So you asked about Alan's contribution.
Yeah, so which segment of government?
Alan's direct
which segment of government?
Alan's direct contribution has given you sustainable jobs through factories that he will make sure he focuses on to run even better and expand access. That is where the jobs will come from.
No problem. I get a great transformation. Yes. So a drew. So what's a drew? Is it a queue? I mean, that's a sense of entitlement.
Interestingly, we vote, and when we vote, we also parley, and we create a convention. Alan was going to be president, or he was going to run for president in 1996, when he was chairman of the Young Executive Forum. The then Young Executive Forum had luminaries like Kandapa, Siliadapa, Kwame Jepon, the man we lost, Barry, Dumac, Menu, and all those people. At the time in 1996, they wanted Alan to contest as a young one, and he would have gone very far because they had the resources and they were very organized. They were propping up the party, and Alan was chairman of that group, the Young Executive Forum.
But a lot of those guys today don't even believe in it.
What happened was that he was persuaded to step back, and he sacrificed his ambition, and he stepped back for Kufuor to go. When Kufuor went, Nana competed with Kufuor. After Kufuor beat Prophet Dubois, Nana contested with Kufuor. And Kufuor considered that Nana had given him a good fight, and that he believed that by the time his term ended, Nana would be the one who stepped into his shoes. Then we went to Legon in 2007. Alan contested, came second to Nana, right? And said that, again, sacrificed his interest. That, look, my big brother is ahead of me. I'd rather not go for a second round. I have considered the leadership to him to go. And Nana then said some prophetic words, which are still reigning on the minds of all of us. At the time, Nana was, Nana's slogan was, that was a cue.
Yes.
Now the modern version of Yunimufiti is when Nana said that Onu we are. Alan Chairman will be president.
Exactly. I recall that.
So Edru also is a version of Yunimufiti, but it's not just a cue. It is a fact that He has also worked very hard in the party and in the government because YEF was a mainstay in the party.
Yes,
very strong pillar.
Very well. There are people who have questioned his base in the party. What's now Alan's base in the party?
Alan's base.
Yes. What's his base?
You see where we go and vote. Did you see the number of people who spilled onto the streets?
No, but we can bash people.
300,000. You want to?
I'm saying that numbers are good, but numbers cannot really mean everything.
It's a clear signal.
No, but we can bash people. We've seen in the past where politicians or political parties
try passing 300,000 people,
give them money
and pay 300,000 people money enough to come and walk.
Yeah, so you have no clear answer on what Alan's base is.
Alan's base is the grassroots of the party who are saying that Adonoo. Alan's base is the entire MPP who know the traditions of the MPP, who know the work Alan has put into the party, who know the work Alan has put into the governance
the fact of the MPP, the fact of his resignation in 2007 keeps coming up. How is he dealing with it? The fact of his resignation in 2007.
Which resignation?
No, he resigned in 2007.
Alan didn't resign. He threatened to resign. No, somebody leaked the letter. Let's tell the truth for once.
No, somebody did what?
Somebody leaked the letter to try and compromise him.
Somebody leaked one letter.
The letter of the so-called resignation. He didn't write.
So he didn't write the letter.
He wrote and threatened to resign if his people were not properly taken care of. He was being hounded. People were being chased. People were trying to divide the party with factionalism. And he said that these were people he was responsible for. Their only crime was that they believed in him, trusted him.
And did he have to threaten the party that he would resign?
But it happened before it wasn't leaked.
No, he was.
It happened before it wasn't leaked.
It happened where?
In the same party.
Who did
it wasn't leaked. So whatever. There are organizations
are you not concerned about the number of endorsements?
So there was no such resignation.
I see.
Whatsoever.
I see. So there was no such resignation.
It didn't happen.
Very well. Are you not concerned about the number of endorsements that Baumia is getting? MPs, over 100 of them, they say, in support of Baumia. And today, as we speak, they are meeting in Kumasi, strategizing.
I don't even want to go historical. Very recently, official candidates are losing elections left, right, center. All the people who are being endorsed by the people in power. Because the power...
Give me an example.
Go to Eastern region. Look at what happened. Come to the the national elections. Look at what happened. Go to Kumawu, the recent MPP's internal national elections.
Who are these people?
Please. You are a journalist.
You tell me.
You are asking me.
No, you are alleging. So
you are alleging on the question.
You are alleging. So you have to
be alleging.
No, you said
alleging that people are lining up to endorse, and I'm telling you that those endorsements are hollow.
I see.
The power of the people together is greater than the people in power.
Very well. So we've run out of time. What's your last word in 1 minute or less?
That Ghanaians are expecting a difference, and that difference is Alan Kyerematen. So it is now the MPP's duty to present Alan Kyerematen to Ghana, and when we do, we are going to win the 2024 election.
This is notwithstanding that somebody has been vice president. He's been.
You are taking my difference.
You are taking my away
minute.
From the president.
You are taking my minute. Yeah, but a vice president is always a heartbeat away from the president,
and so he's better suited to.
Why didn't we give it to Aliu? Why did Nana take it away from Ali?
Ali, you supported.
Why did Nana take it away from Ali?
I see. All right.
Alan is the difference maker. Alan is the game changer. Alan is the one who will bring transformation. And we move away from the IMF politics that we have.
I see. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Yabwabea Sawa, spokesperson for Alan Kyerematen and Director of Communications for the Alan campaign team. He's been my guest on Point Blank. This is how we conclude the program for tonight. The show has been live from our studios at number 11, Dr. Martin Loop, in Adabraka and Accra. The show produced by Sami Weafe and Nana Kwabena Wilson. Daniel Squashi provided technical assistance. You heard Neteli Nete, Selorm Adonoo. Join me tomorrow at 9 a.m. on The Big Issue, where we discuss the topical issues for the week. Up next is Sports Panorama. Have a good evening.